Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, whenever you choose to join us. I'm Declan Carroll, and I'm joined again for Top 55 by Andy Cummins. Andy, we're on to possibly your favourite race course, and
Yeah.
I'd say it's a car that's really whetting your appetite. You mentioned these 2-year-old races a lot when you're chatting about flat racing. But look, how are you anyway?
It couldn't be better. Nothing better than recording a podcast with you, Dec. So,
Yeah.
especially with one of my favourite cards. It's one of my favourite kind of standalone cards. Obviously, everyone is a big fan of festivals. And don't get me wrong, festivals are great, but I do love standalone midweek cards. And this is one of the best ones that Leopardstown puts on every year. Features the Silver Flash Stakes and Tyra Stakes, 2 Group 3s for 2-year-olds. The Silver Flash for the fillies, the Tyras for the colts and geldings. I think fillies can run it as well if they want, but look, loads of clues in the past. Like you had the likes of Glen Eagles win the Tyras, Teofilio's won the Tyras. I think New Approach might have won it. Like you get some serious horses winning these races. So yeah, looking forward to getting delving into them, and obviously the return of Bedtime Story. Impressive at Royal Ascot. Looking forward to I'm going to get up, take a half day from work, and go up and see her, see what she looks like in the flesh.
Well, I was just going to ask where you're going to get there. Obviously, it looks a high class card, small fields, but like really, really high class, and lots of potential on show. So obviously you are taking the half day. You are getting. Just answered my next question, but before we jump into Leopardstown, I won't be here next week, even though we've been building up Galway. You'll still get to cover Galway.
I'll cover Galway.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't mind having a quick look. We have entries for some of the races, in particular the hurdle and the plate, which a lot of our listeners will probably want to hear our thoughts on. We've a lot of jump fans that listen to us. Had you any thoughts on the hurdle or the plate this far out?
Well, I alluded to it last week, Dec, at the end of the podcast, that Kings Hill was running in a 10 furlong maiden at Leopardstown last week. He finished 4th, just completely outpaced around the turn. The 3-year-olds got away from him. He came home well. I was delighted with that run. It was kind of what I was expecting. He ran perfectly fine for his flat debut. It's going to put him spot on. They thought he was good enough to run the Supreme Novices, and he went well for a long way in that at the Cheltenham Festival. And he was just touched off, I think, at Ballinrobe. And then just before that ran okay behind Daddy Longlegs at Punchestown. I think this has been the plan for them. Obviously, the Gilligans, local family operation there in Galway. I think he'd be primed for this, and I'd be strong on him now. I really do like Kings Hill for the Galway hurdle. Have done for a while, and I think he is. He's got to be one that goes quite close, I think.
Yeah, no, look, he definitely has a chance. The one I'm drawn to, and it's probably Bahrain. You know, I've spoken about the horse an awful lot, and a little bit original for me, or not very original. It's Nürburgring. I know he's only a 4-year-old, but I thought he was a really, really good juvenile last year, and he only consistently found Cargeese do good for him in Ireland. Obviously, he has been behind Marlborough at Cheltenham and Bottler Secret, who I think is a potential champion hurdle horse. So it was won by a 4-year-old last year, and Zarek the Brave off 145. Nürburgring runs off 139. So if he is improving with age at a rate you'd hope to expect, I think he has a really good chance. So yeah, it'd be Nürburgring. I don't know if we have any prices for the.
There's a few knocking about. Like I got a few DMs actually after Kings Hill ran last week on Twitter, and people are saying, "What did you think? And is this a good price?" Now they have nibbled away at him. He's a 16 to 1 shot now. I think there was 25s available. I have 20s, so like I'll take it for now. Like only for small money. I will back him again when he's declared. Dec, your lad Nürburgring, I wouldn't have called that kind of boring and unoriginal, because you were on him from an early stage, and I wouldn't say many people are on him for the Galway hurdle. 12 or 14 to 1 depending on where you look. We'll figure price still, so you know. Two double figure darts there, so
yeah. Look, we'll take that. We'll take that. Oh, you could. He's one you could see a gamble on the day. I think he could go off short enough. And what about, have you had a chance to look at the plate? Are you looking at a certain rider?
Yeah, I think that if he comes over and excel, I'm always I'm never good at my lap. I'm assuming it's not Excelsius Geo. Is that? It's not good because that would be hard. Excelsius Geo is one I could be quite keen on if they do take the entry. He ran a pretty miraculous race in the play at the Cheltenham Festival. He was basically cleared out by a faller at the top of the hill. Stormed home to finish out, I think it was 4th. Never nearer. I really fancied him for the Topham Chase, but they never entered him. And they went back to Cheltenham, I think, in a midweek card towards the end of the season. He got up and won on the line. I think he's a very progressive horse. And look, if they're coming over for the Galway plate, I'm assuming that they'll have him ripe and ready. I think he's a really nice horse. I think he'll win graded races, especially in the UK this season. I really don't think he'd have
you
that
might
much
win graded races over fences.
Yeah, true. Yeah. That's actually a good point. I'd probably go all right in a few of those novice chases. All right. But yeah, no, I think he's in off 10 stone 8 if Harry Fry decides to run him. I don't see why you wouldn't. It's a lovely pot, and if he's entered, he's obviously in training. You wouldn't just waste money for the laugh. So look, I think he's got a fantastic chance. Last year's winner, Ash Tree Meadow, even off 160, I could see him going okay. Obviously a big ask, a lot of weight there, but he is still, in his prime at age 8. Nothing really else kind of jumping out to me though, Dec. I do love an Excelsius Dio. Obviously Percival Agua is the one. I'm gonna imagine that you're going to talk about a winner last year at Galway, not at the festival, but over fences. And then you still feel probably aggrieved at what happened to you at the Dublin Racing Festival.
Yeah, look, at the moment, without looking too deep at the race, he would be my selection. It's something I kind of had in the back of my mind for him for a good few months now. He's only 7. It's hard to know how good he could be still. He has time to develop into a grade 1 chaser, maybe. He does have a bit of improvement to do, but fine run in second by Grancy de Toy at the Punchestown Festival, and obviously, as you said, he won his beginner's chase at Galway last year, quite surprisingly. But
doing handstands.
Yeah, he done it quite well. We weren't expecting to see him trying too hard at that stage of his chasing career, but at the moment, for me, he'd be the one. He's quite consistent as well. But like I said, the only race that he was poor in was the Drinmore last year, and maybe he could have been competitive in it if they wanted to be, but I don't think they wanted to be competitive that day. I'd say when he was so good at Galway, they thought we'll definitely scoop a couple of handicaps with him, and look, I think he could be. He's at 7. He's still plenty of room for improvement. So we're on the 2 McManus horses. Excelsior Good Joe, is it? No, it's hardly Irish.
Excelsius Dio, I'm going to say. I'm butchering my Latin, apologies, but I'm just going to own it. It'll be the green and gold either way for us, I'd say. Yeah,
personally, I'll take 2 of last year's novices. Well, Nürburgring was a novice, even though you don't have to be a novice to run the Triumph. But yeah, look, we will. Oh, Andy, before we move on, actually, have you anything for any of the flat handicaps that we've entries for? We obviously have. I've won a few mile races now. We've entries for amateurs.
Like obviously, I like Aidan McGuinness's in the mile. I think he's a decent chance now. So that gives me about 8 darts. It doesn't matter. I like all 8 of them. I like the I'm only messing. I'd say I wonder how much money you'd need to have a euro on all of those horses. And would you make money if they won? That's another. Maybe a tap trial that we could do maybe next year. No, I do like Baltic Bird, Dec, in the amateur race. Now he needs a few to come out. He's number 23 on the ballot, so I'd be hoping he gets in. Bill Durkin trains. Ran well at Ferryhouse the last day, only beaten 2 lengths, was 4 of 6, was just outpaced. They go very, very quick, obviously, in this race as well. You need the draw to obviously be kind to you. Look, if a couple come out and he's in down there at the bottom, down near the bottom, and it's not heavy ground, it shouldn't be heavy ground. I hope not anyway. It's currently good yielding at the moment.
Yeah, we've had a lot of heavy ground Galway.
Yeah,
Galway races,
that's true.
It doesn't take much. There's a lot of racing on all week. It doesn't take much rain to turn it soft. So
no, absolutely not.
We've been having a lot of rain. I don't know what's like down there, but we've been having an awful lot the last few days.
Yeah, lash down Monday night. Yeah, it was horrendous. But no, I think if he gets in and the ground isn't heavy, I think he'll go very, very well in the amateur race. And then I don't know, looking towards the even the hurdle races, I'd be quite interested to see. Is it on Monday? Or is it Tuesday? Or Tuesday is the novice hurdle that the Annie Powerful won. Oh my God, Mystical Power. What he won down the Galway Festival last year, didn't he? Before going on to win at Cheltenham.
I scored.
I'm almost certain he won a maiden hurdle at the Galway Festival. And maybe I was wrong, but I think he
isn't the opener. The opener used to be a maiden hurdle.
Yeah, and I think that's the race he won.
Yeah, and it was yeah.
I will double check that, but it's I wonder if we'll see another Cheltenham Festival candidate. Yeah, 31st of July. Yeah, he beat Samui in a novice hurdle on the so it would have been early enough in the week. Will there be anything as good as him unleashed at the Galway Festival? I'm sure only time will tell. The good ones are starting to come out. Sorry, what?
Yeah, like I say it. You'd love to see it, but it'd be hard to see a horse who was just out battled in the Supreme Novice, won at Chug, great guts to win at Aintree, and then looked beaten at Punchestown and one going away. We went to the 3 festivals. We'd be spoiled if we get to see another one that good now at this year's Galway Festival. But here's hoping. Anyway, I think we'll move on, Andy, because I'm actually looking forward to hearing your thoughts on a lot of these races. We don't often cover cards with as much quality as these.
No,
we don't. We probably don't cover enough flat cards. But while our stuff is normally midweek low grade handicap hurdles, this should be like having a bubble bath for you now, getting to talk about some really, really nice 2-year-olds.
Send some people to sleep.
Yeah.
Just give me a winner, will you? I don't care what his ma did in 2011. Just give me the bleeding winner. Anyway,
we'll kick it off with the opener is at 5:15. The Frank Conroy EBF maiden for 2-year-olds over 1 mile. And the one, look, I'm not going to pretend to be as clever as you about any of these. Obviously, the obvious one to me is Green Impact. He was keeping on second at the Curragh behind Hasdan. Hasdan has a national stakes entry, as does Green Impact. Obviously, quite highly thought of, but I'd imagine you might be looking elsewhere at some of the unraced 2-year-olds, and you're going to tell us all about their family tree now.
Yeah, well, I'm going to keep it short and sweet, hopefully. Green Impact ran to a pretty nice level on debut, is what you said, beaten by Hasdan. Not 100% sure it was maybe the strongest Curragh maiden you'll ever see, but like, for example, the winners we saw last week on the Minstrel Stakes Day, especially the Juddmonte filly for Ger Lyons, where Ross's filly Indigo Dream was second. I'd say they're talked about maybe putting her away, but if she came back for something like the Migler, I think that filly looked like a superstar. I'll try and remember the name. I think if it's something that leaves an impression on me, I'd remember. No, Babouche won the Group 3. It was the one that won the maiden.
Red Letter, was our
Red Letter. Yeah, Red Letter. That's hers. I'd say she's a classic filly. She was really, really good. But anyway, this one ran in probably a maiden that may not have been as good, but still brings a very respectable level of form and should be favourite. If he wasn't favourite, you could probably back it knowing that you have one that's going to know its job and has already ran to a pretty respectable level of form. Combs was a cheap enough boy for his pedigree. Already gelded, trained by Gordon Elliott. Indigo Lady, I think, was a listed winner. Only cost 20 grand. That Indigo Lady being the mother, the dam, and being by Dark Angel, like, he mustn't have looked well at the sales to only bring in 20 grand. He's already gelded. A few questions there. Delacroix or Delacree, by De Bowie, Delacroix, by De Bowie and out of the super race mare Teppen. Mark Cass trained from in Canada. She won the was it the Queen Anne at Royal Ascot when it last rain, beat Ballardo, I think. It's terrific race mare. Hasn't produced anything of that quality just yet, but obviously this is Ryan Moore's choice, commands instant respect. Scandinavia is out of the unraced Galileo mare Fabulous. and is a half sister to Above the Curve, who herself was a very, very big mare. He is also related to First Time Out winners, but going by jockey bookings and how big this horse could be, just thinking about the size of Above the Curve and how big Justify was, this lad could be a unit. He could come into I wouldn't be surprised if he came into the ring looking like a 3-mile chaser. But I will report back with how he looks. The one I would take a chance on out of the debutants deck is Tangapore. Johnny Murta training for the Aga Khan at Ben Cohen riding. He's by Wooden Bassett and out of the brilliant race mare Tanaza. I think she was a Group 3 winner for Dermot Wells, but most importantly, she was a very sharp 2-year-old, knew her job, won on debut, won on her second start, I think, as well. And I think would have been third or fourth in the Migler as a 2-year-old as well. So I would imagine this lad's going to know his job. He's very well bred. Obviously, Wooden Bassett, terrific sire, especially of 2-year-olds as well. And out of a dam that, as I said, knew her job. Now, obviously, you're still speculating, but he's the one I think could be the most ready of the bunch, at least going on pedigree, given that the dam was so good at 2 and that Wooden Bassett gets plenty 2-year-old winners. Scandinavia, as I said, might be one for the future. Dela Crew, I'd even still say best watched. Green Impact, definitely the one to beat, but with the 2 of Aidens in it and Green Impact with the ability, with obviously the ability in the book, I'd be interested to see what price Tangapore might be, or even on the tissues, because he's very well bred. Yeah, no, he won't be 12-1. I'd be back. I'd either even take a chance on it with that page at 12-1 if he was. But obviously Johnny Murtas do come on for the run very much, but he has had first time out winners too. He'd be the one that interests me the most out of this field for the here and now.
Yeah, okay. Look, I'll obviously go with Green Impact because I'm not able to delve into the breeding side of things quite the way you are, but very, very interesting, Andy. Always good to hear. We will move on to the 550. The Jockey Club of Turkey Silver Flash Stakes, a Group 3 for fillies, 2-year-old fillies. The Jockey Club of Turkey, Andy.
I've never been. Godolphin farmed their big races for a while, but they've kind of gone cold. But they still sponsor this race, and fair play to them for it.
A lot of stallions move from this part of the world to Turkey, don't they?
Yeah, when they need their hair back. Obviously, the older ones usually move over to Turkey, get their hair transplants, cover a few hairs.
Come back with a new set of Delph.
Yeah, that's it. That's what happened. Authorized was sold to Turkey, got his hair back done, and they realised, oh look, these can jump. And get him back quick. came back with hair down to his heels.
Okay, Annie, is this an opening showcase? She looks like she won her maiden here. She was 10-length winner at Ascot. You touched on the maiden. You mentioned Indigo Dream, who ran a cracker the weekend, and one of them has won out of the horse. I can't remember the horse. It was third or fourth in the races. Won. The form was let down by the Brendan Duke horse, Mike County.
More on her later.
Yeah, more on her later. But look, for me, I can't look past her. Like we've covered Barnavara. I think you've touched on Senna's Girl. Have you already tonight? Like there's she'd be long odds on, and should win easy enough. It's story you were talking about.
Yeah, bedtime story. Yeah, of course. She could be 4, 5, 6-1 on here, given the impression that she made at Royal Ascot, which, obviously she's by Frankel, and we've always talked about Galileo out of the sprinters, like Galileo out of You're So Thrilling, who was a top 5 furlong sprinter, produced Glen Eagles. And then you have obviously Galileo out of Meow, another sprinter, produced Churchill. So it's been done quite regularly. Even Leading Light, Dec, the sire of Countdana, he was by Monju and out of a Queen Mary winner nonetheless. So it's like the stayers out of sprinters really. Actually, it's unfair to call Frankel a stayer because he could have won the July Cup if they wanted it, and he probably could have won over 1.5 miles as well. So, but obviously she's out of Mecca's Angel, who was an exceptional race mare for Michael Dodds. And look, she picked up at the 2 pole like she was Mecca's Angel. Like she almost picked up in the shape of a sprinter. And look, it probably wasn't the strongest Chesham Stakes in the world, but you can only beat what's in front of you. And not only beat them, she absolutely murdered them. Like it was really, really jaw-dropping stuff how well she picked up.
Not often you see a Ballydoyle horse win like that. I wonder.
Yeah, I'd say you're probably right. I'd say Ryan Moore nearly had to apologise to him when he came back in. But look, she's back in already, and this was the first race I nominated. I know a few people said the not the futurity, the fillies equivalent, the debutant. Yeah, so people did say the debutant, but this is the obvious race for her. This is Group 3. It's an easy step up, usually a small field. And as you said, even the debut, like the clues are probably there in the debut, because the runner-up Giselle, who we haven't seen since, also by Frankel, they backed her into odds on. They backed her into 8-11 or 8-13 or something, and Bedtime Story went and beat her snugly. And they were like, that almost to me suggested that Giselle was one of the higher ups in the Cool or the Ballydoyle hierarchy at the time. You've already mentioned Transcending has gone and won. Queen's Fury, I believe Dec has let down the form. Or at least has failed to win. And obviously Indigo Dream put that run behind Bedtime Story well behind her, and obviously she's going to be winning plenty of races in the future too. Look, it's hard to throw superlatives at her. Banner Navarra there rated 89. She's probably in there for black type. Exactly. Was kind of poor on debut. She ran quite green, but put the experience to good use for winning next time out. And the rumour mill was churning Chante, the filly that she beat by a short distance. There was rumours that Gerlines and their team very much liked her, so that they pulled well clear. So obviously Frankel out of Heartache as well, who I think she won the Queen Mary as well, or at least might have been placing it. Look, she could very much improve for this experience, but the one I'm going to give to finish second, Dec, and we've already mentioned it, is Senna's Girl. I've already mentioned that maiden, Lake Victoria. I'd say she's incredibly smart. She beat Red Letter on debut. Very little or nothing really between them, Colin Keane and Ryan Moore. Neither of them went for the kitchen sink. They were obviously both 2-year-old debutants that they were on. But I would imagine that those are two very high class fillies. Well, obviously I already mentioned Red Letter is. Like they could even be two Group 1 fillies, Lake Victoria and Red Letter. Now, Senna's Girl was put in her place by them. She was beaten the best part of 4 lengths by them. But I would imagine the way she came home, like she did come from kind of off the pace that day. The way she came home, I would say she's probably a black type filly herself. And it's no shame in finishing second to 2 fillies that I'd say be contesting the Migler or races like it towards the end of the season. There's not a lot of strength and depth to this. My bet would be Senna's Girl without the favourite to finish second to Bedtime Story, because I would not be surprised if she was the second best filly in this race.
Okay, interesting. She's 33s on the tissues, so
yeah. Again, people might look at the form book, and I don't see that lasting. If it is, I'd even back her each way at 33 to 1. To be honest with you,
that'd be a nice double now, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
We're not here. We're not messing around in this podcast. Anyway.
No. Might be small fields, but you're still digging out big prices. Okay, we'll move on. 620, the Irish EBF Median Sire Series Fillies Maiden, an incentive race. You mentioned, it's for 2-year-olds over 7 furlongs, 57 yards. Do you want to just touch on the Median Sire Series again, Andy? Because
go back to school.
Just in case anyone missed you the last time.
Basically, the weight in this race is determined by how much your dad costs to create you, basically. So obviously the top weights there, Kodiak, who is a €35,000 sire. He's kind of reaching the twilight of his career now, Kodiak. Like he's quite old now. I think he's in his late 20s. He's down to €35,000. So there'll be a cap on this race, probably of €35,000, or maybe the currency equivalent, because there is a few in here. So obviously Aidan O'Brien has one in here by Tiz the Law, who's a US stallion, out of an Unbridled Song mare, pure dirt pedigree, Medici Venus. That's only a $20,000 nomination. However, there might be different rules for different jurisdictions, and that's why that one's carrying 9 stone 3. So there is a lot of ins and outs between it, but essentially your weight is dependent on how much the stallion costs. So obviously top one, Kodiak, €35,000. Bottom one, let's see, because there's a few reserves, is Luscious, who's by Profitable. Profitable is ironically Well, he's actually private now, funny enough, so he must be sub-fertile or something. But they would have to disclose it. The last time Profitable was disclosed was €9,000 last year. So obviously that's the reason he's carrying the lowest weight. But yeah, that's kind of a median sires in a nutshell, Dec.
Yeah, look, there's 3 of them that I took my interest. You mentioned one that was Lucius. She was 3 lengths second on debut. Opened up, proven, then gone close here. We already touched on the Brendan Duke filly, My Pony and Odyssey, obviously 5th at Bedtime Story. But she was quite disappointing the next day. If you're willing to forgive her, you might be getting a decent price. And you know, a horse who's coming from a race with, you know, good form could run a big one. But the one I'd probably side with would be Mood Altering. She was 8 lengths third to Babouche at Cork, and Babouche has followed up. She's entitled to improve, stepping up and trip as well. So I could see her going quite close. But Andy, give us the winner.
And this is probably the hardest race on the card to find the winner of. Look, there's Aidan O'Brien. It's very rare you see him in a median series race. The last time I probably saw Aidan O'Brien in one of these races, and you know what? Actually, it might have, funny enough, actually been this race a good few years ago. There was a major eye catcher in it by Authorized, and his name was how have I forgotten it? The Irish Derby winner during COVID. Santiago, massive eye catcher in a race of this nature. Went on to win, obviously, the Irish Derby. But he has 2 in it. Garden of Eden, obviously by Saxon Warrior, who's a €25,000 cover, hence why he's carrying 9 stone 1. And then obviously Medici Venus, who, as I said, is bred for the dirt. She, 'tis the law, second in a Kentucky Derby once upon a time, and out of an Unbridled Song mare. Now, Unbridled Song has gotten a couple of turf performers in Europe in the past, but as I said, very much a dirt stallion. Be very interesting to see how she runs on her debut. But this is a bit of a lottery, Dec. The other one I probably should kind of bring up is Proxima Centauri, who's by Circus Maximus, who had one season in Ireland and then was sold to New Zealand. The only foal out of Duntle, who was trained by David Watchman. Yeah, in the Arcris. Yeah, she died giving birth to this to Circus Maximus. Yeah. And
Cachamedi in a matron stakes. What's yours? Thrown out. She was
thrown out of a matron stakes with Cachamedi. It was nonsense. But I didn't agree with that call. Like I've seen far worse. Like Golden Horn not getting thrown out for the Found incident was probably far worse than that. But anyway, I could talk about that at a different stage. But anyway, this is a Circus Maximus filly out of Alpha Centauri. So obviously extremely well bred, and the median sires, it doesn't say anything about the dam. Obviously Alpha Centauri, easily probably the best filly out of the mothers in here, but obviously it's very, very different when they go to stud. She has produced Saturn, who's a stayer. I think he won an Ebor trial at the Curragh possibly, but he's very much a stayer Saturn. And obviously this filly would be very, very interesting on debut, and I would imagine she could be the one that goes near enough to the top of the market. But I'm going to have to do it, Dec. I'm going to have to give McConey and Odyssey a little chance. I can't believe I'm saying it, but she was such a massive eye catcher behind Bedtime Story when she came from Sandyford Village or Sandyford Lewis to essentially be 5th. And now she was beaten 6 lengths, but it was by Bedtime Story in the end. I don't know what happened at the Curragh. They changed tactics. They went to the front.
Say Brendan was bitterly disappointed.
I'd say he was bitterly disappointed at that one. Yeah. Look, if they ride her the same as they rode her on debut, obviously not completely cold, but if they ride her off the pace and to come home well, I like there's surely going to be a pace on here. There's a lot of runners. There's reserves, which is rare in a Leopardstown. You rarely see reserves in the 2-year-old race Leopardstown. There should be plenty of pace on. Let her come home. Let her come down the chase course, which she probably will have to do. She is drawn wide. I could see her running a huge race if they want her to. If not, she's going to get a handicap mark that's hopefully not obliterated by her debut run. But this is a good filly. I just hope she has the opportunity to show it. If you discount her run at the Curragh, she'd have a good chance here.
Yeah, look, I'm willing to put a line through the run the last day as well, and I do think she'll run a big one. But I am going to side with Mood Altering and that form behind Babouche. we will move on, Andy, to 650. Jesus, like the United Nations in here tonight, isn't it? Japan Racing Association. Florida Stakes, a Group 3 for 2-year-olds, 7 furlongs, 57 yards. I'd say we'll have a short enough favourite here, Andy, but I would be keen to take him on, Surpass.
Surpass, yeah.
I don't think the form is holding up, and the form left us with egg on our face a few weeks ago, I think, at Bellewstown, was it? And we thought Shocker was an absolute good thing and drifted wildly. And ran accordingly. So I'd be keen to take him on. Beckman, I thought got the job done well. It looks like he'll improve up and trip. That was at the Curragh when he won on debut. But I'll probably take the chance on Scorchy Champ, 1 mile over course and distance on his only start with what was it, Hot as Hell behind, and Hot as Hell has actually followed up. So I'd be expecting Scorchy Champ to be not far away here. Anyway, what way do you see yourself?
Yeah, Hot as Hell actually reopposes as well here. So quite interesting. Surpass. Look, he was very, very green when winning on debut, and he was much more professional and winning quite easily at Tipperary, and he was kind of obliged to. He was 9-4 on, and he just, it was a piece of work from him. It was a significantly improved performance. The prices are actually out. He's 11-8. It's still, you're right though, it's short. It wouldn't be enticing me at 11-8, to be honest. Swagman, his stable companion, at 10-1. He needed kind of every yard to win at Naas. Was from the front. He raced kind of lazily. I think you might see blinkers on him maybe later on in the year. He almost shaped like the type of horse that's going to go from the front in maybe a lot of the classics next year. Like that's the type of the type of way he won that maiden, and maybe I'm being very unfair to him, but you can see horses get loose on the front end at Leopardstown. It's a very, very common occurrence, and this is a horse, given the way he won last time out, you're not going to want to give him too much rope, because what he did show, despite maybe coming up a little bit short in the form department, is that he's a battler. So you have to give him and Wayne Lorden a lot of respect, because he could very easily steal this race from the front. Whether he's good enough to be able to do that is another question. Scorchy Champ, 2-1 deck, so 2-1 second favourite. Good chance he could even go off favourite. Obviously entitled to race a little green on his debut, but as I said, put Hot as Hell in his place with relative ease. Mano Chicago, Mano Chicago, 2/3 not good enough on the form that he's shown. Will win races in the future, but this is probably a bridge too far. Hot as Hell then, as we mentioned, he came out and beat Mount Parnassus at the Curragh. Like he raced like the best horse in the race. Like he always had a clear path. Went and won his race. Like he improved obviously from first run to second. But it was the way he did it, kind of. It did enhance the credentials of Scorchy Champ. And then there's Beckman, who was by the railway winner Beckford from a few years ago. I didn't even know Beckford was at stud. But
he trained by Gordon Elliott.
He was trained by Gordon Elliott. He had he was in more stables than Mary was in Bethlehem by the end of his career, I'm pretty sure. But there's a lot of there was a lot of China switches with him and continent switches.
Another at the Breeders' Cup for Gordon, wasn't he?
I think he was, yeah. I'm trying to think. Did Ger Lyons might have had him, and I think he had one run in America. I'm pretty sure he might have actually won as well, and then came back to Europe. Anyway, long story short, this horse was again decent at the Curragh on his debut. Ran to a decent enough level, beating Distant Seas and Mount Parnassus again. So there is a few, as you said there, Dec, a few like interlinks with the form. I could see Beckman going well, even though he is by a sprinter. He did shape like 7 furlongs with Sue. I'd probably sit in the fence for this race, but Scorchy Champ to beat Beckman, which was similar enough to your view on it. I think that might be the play, but I wouldn't be overly confident as I would be in some of the earlier races and some races coming up. But it'd be Scorchy Champ, but it'd be hesitant enough.
Yeah, look, that's the way I'd be seeing the Scorchy Champ to beat Beckman. I don't know if we ever had, probably not the nap of the tap, but I don't know if we had nap at the tap straight forecast before.
Yeah, well, look, there you go. Well worth doing. And speaking of
look,
United Nations, what did you see the next race?
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah. And speaking of nap at the tap, we will move on to the 720. It's the Dublin to Bahrain handicap for
Carbon footprint here is bloody, yeah.
over 1 mile and 1 furlong. The one that jumped out when you first look at the card, I think, Andy, is Snellen. I thought she was a class filly. She was a Royal Ascot winner last year. And she did look back to herself the last 2 runs, up £5 for the first and the second. But the one I'm drawn to, and I think you are too, is Monday in here at 91. Makes his handicap debut after a 5th in a listed race the last day. And I thought he shaped like this might have been the plan for him that day. The way he ran. So he has won on his debut as well. So he's able to get his head in front. But you tell us a bit more about him, Andy.
Yeah, well, I already mentioned actually the dam. I don't know how I managed to get her in, but I did. We were talking about middle distance horses, i.e. Galileo out of sprinters, and this one's out of Meow, which doesn't actually make him, ironically, a full brother to Churchill. So, look, as you kind of mentioned it, Dec, it was an eye-catching enough run behind Lord Massousis at the Curragh in the Celebration Stakes last time out. I'm just not sure if he was kind of outclassed or what you said. Maybe it was just a bridge too far from. But even on the back of that run and how he ran, look, 91 just seems to underestimate him. It was horses that were kind of.
It was more the fact he was slow away and wide. And
yeah.
Like.
It's almost an education.
Yeah, and how to not win, Yeah,
exactly.
And we'll go and we'll scoop this, we'll pump the ears off and pick up the prize money the next day.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it's only 13 grand to the winner, but there is a race.
Well, I've no doubt Aidan likes to win races on this card.
Oh, absolutely. No, he'd be here to win for 100%. But it's not just that. Like, there's decent enough handicaps on Irish Champions Weekend that they could even just go and win this and just put him in it. Sure, Did they not win the 7 furlong handicap last year with something that won a Group 1 in Hong Kong like a few months later? Not for Aidan O'Brien. They sold them, and
the thing that came up the outside.
Ryan Moore. Yeah, God, yeah, what a ride that was. But I can't remember the name of the horse because they changed his name then. Because the Hong Kong, I love how they do that in Hong Kong. We're not calling them that. That's a stupid name. We're going to go for Helene bloody music speakers or whatever they always have bloody mad names. But anyway, Monday, as I said, rated 91, dropping down from black type races. Look, on the basis of his run last time with Lord Matsousis and a few others, Atlantic Coast, even Azada, like based on what they're rated and what he's rated, and even going back behind like Master of the Hunt and a few others there, like I do think 91 could well underestimate, and as you said, that given the way he was ridden for only his 4th run, I'd say he could be favourite. There is obviously 2 last time out winners in here, but you do see the Aidan O'Brien colours. You see Snellen in form, Royal Ascot winner obviously last year. But I'd be really fancying Monday. I think he's got a sensational chance of 91. He's easily the best bet on the card for me, without doubt.
Well, look, Monday, the nap of the tap in July. I'm going
to switch this back 1 sec. There we go. It's a Dublin.
Sorry, I knew it.
No, you're right. No, you're fine. You're fine.
Look, it's written in the stars, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go to Bahrain with our winnings.
We go to Bahrain, yeah, cool. Look, I'd be pretty keen as well, Andy. I don't think he'd be favourite. I'd imagine Snellen might be favourite, having bounced back to form her last 2 runs, and hopefully she is. But all the better for us. Monday's hardly playing on Thursday, is he?
I think it's Chasing Abbey.
Right.
I think it's Chasing Abbey. Yeah, I don't have much interest in that now.
Not even sure what that is. Okay, we will move on. The 750 Boyle Sports best odds guaranteed rated race, 3-year-olds.
What country is that?
1 mile, 4 furlong, 180 yards. We cover a lot of rated novice hurdles and rated novice chases through the winter. But I don't think we've covered a rated flat race. Yeah, Andy. Quite they can be quite tricky races to work out, but they can often be quite competitive, and there's definitely usually some eye catchers in there. The one I was drawn to was the filly Levita Nova. She's no official rating yet, but she's one of the least exposed. She's stepping up and trip, as well as aeronautic, but he only beat a horse rated £5 inferior to him by a head. So yeah, I think Levita Nova could be the one here. The handicapper might be just struggling a little bit as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they've let her in very lightly.
Yeah.
She's in technically off 85. So yeah, 9 stone 4 is equating to 85 in this case. Third behind McGuile Mar, who looked exposed when winning that maiden, but she has gone on to now be rated 90. I think she won a handicap last time out at Killarney. The runner-up that day was cancelled. And then I think in fourth that day was Levita Nora, who was about 3 lengths behind, cancelled. She then comprehensively reversed the former cancelled at Limerick on her next start, beating her by 3/4 of a length. But given from where she came from on debut, it just showed you how much she has progressed. And she was green as well. Like she probably should have won by further. She was a little bit shy under the whip. Cancelled, I think, is rated. I don't know if cancelled actually has a rating yet.
I think cancelled has a rating, but hasn't tested it in a handicap.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So cancelled is rated 82. Levita Nova, who looked all at sea on debut, but was only beaten 3 lengths by her, and then managed to reverse the former cancelled. Now, you could make the argument cancelled is not progressing, and she's rated 82, but I'd make the argument that Levita Nova who's rated 84, should have probably beat her by further if she knew her job a little bit more. And that coupled with the step up and trip, there's no way this filly's rated 84 in my opinion. Like even in comparison to the top weight Blackpool, who, you know, he looked like he probably should have been sitting in a boat. And does Blackpool have a harbour? Can you park a boat there? Is that, I'm not like, he looks like he should have been, you know, sitting on the coast of Blackpool. Like he looks like a right boat.
There's a pier there. Yeah.
There is a pier. I don't know. I wouldn't fancy going now. I've heard great things, but it doesn't have a racetrack nearby, does it? He looks like he doesn't look like the fastest horse in the world. They're probably going to try and make all with him. He's definitely not as good as his mum was anyway, or his dad. The damn Legatissimo, and starting over and running over a mile and a half. So obviously a little bit slower than her, and the blinkers are on, so it does suggest that Ryan Moore is probably going to try and go from the front. I'm not losing sleep over anything really, Dec. I think this Levita Nova has a really, really good chance, and I would expect her to be favourite, to be honest.
Right, interesting. I didn't. Well, I'm hoping she won't be favourite. I didn't think she might be favourite, but that makes me even more confident now about that. That's that might be a nice double Monday in Levita Nova.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, after collecting a few quid from that double, we will finish the World Tour at 8:20. This is not the Madrid handicap. It is the Hippodromo della Zazuela.
Get a fucking red cape. Get a red cape.
I've been racing in Biarritz. I've been trotting racing in Biarritz. I've obviously been horse racing in France as well. Biarritz is quite close to Spain. It's in the Basque Country, but I've never been racing in Spain. Did we have something that ran in the Guineas a few years ago?
Newsar Canarius was trained in Spain. He was actually quite useful as well.
Yeah, he's probably done a bit of damage here in the Hippodromo as well.
Yeah, well, like I thought Hippodrome, I thought that was in Chile.
No, a Hippodrome. Hippodrome's a race course.
Yeah, I thought there was one in Chile as well.
Yeah, but I think doesn't Hippodrome mean race course? Like that's what John said.
Does it?
Yeah.
I barely did languages in school, but so I barely speak English.
I think in Spain they all run like hippos.
Right, okay. I'm actually, I just googled it. It actually looks nice.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
It's all right. It doesn't look like a race course now. I'd say bloody hell. I'd say the hose is on there 24/7.
Oh, stop.
Imagine.
No, but they're probably, I wouldn't say it. They're probably trained for, they might train on the track. Or they probably train on turf over there and they're built for it. In Japan, the ground's like a road as well. It's just, we've become obsessed with deep gallops. And while deep gallops are building, maybe muscle for galloping, but it means we have to water tracks a lot more than we do elsewhere in the world. And
yeah, true. That's a fair point.
They're maybe becoming a bit more fragile in this part of the world. They probably build big galloping arses, but they're not able to handle fast ground. So
yeah, that's a fair point.
Sprinters on.
Right, I'm on their website now, and yeah, I'm trying to see how much a ticket is. Buy tickets. Here we go. They're racing all summer. 14 years old. You have to be free admission if you're under 14, but you have to be with an adult over 65. Maybe a trip deck to one of these places it could be on the cards.
Be quite nice. Yeah, I'd like to go. I know I'm going slightly off away from the racing.
Very much off the beaten track now. Yeah, tried to buy tickets to Spanish racing.
Murano in Italy, where they have jump racing. I think it's up in the Alps. I'd say that'd be some crack to go to now.
Yeah, it's a score to go racing in Spain, by the way.
Right, that's dearer than expected. Biarritz was quite cheap. I think it was free for women, and just the men had to pay. And it was lovely. There was low grade racing that night, and the prize money was outrageous. But yeah, you had your dinner along the track. It was lovely. Like when you're out in the sunshine.
Nice. That does sound good.
Very, very nice. And I didn't realise there was actually mounted trotting races. I'm not sure whether it's the equivalent of a bumper or not. But
did you gamble on it?
Yeah, see. But punting on trotting races it's quite frustrating because when you're in contention and you're screaming and the jockey's throwing the kitchen sink at it. Well, they can't.
So what's it? So in horse racing, you're kind of like, give me one, but when you're backing it, you're kind of like,
you're just like, don't flake your stride. Yeah. Don't
try.
The jockey's not throwing the kitchen sink.
Or gallop, sorry.
But no, it was a good night. It was very
good.
I'll
challenge our listeners before we cover the last race. If you've gotten this far and you're listening to this nonsense, you obviously like it. So tell us the most random track or most random. It doesn't even have to be. Just put in the comments most random sporting event you've ever been to. Ideally, it's horse racing or something equine. But go on, have a chat about it. We might give you a shout out in the next one. But very interesting.
We've all mentioned the night you got us kicked out of the RDS during the Yaga Camp.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We'll move on. The A20, Andy. There's one for me in this.
Okay.
And it was it's the only one I could really say. It's Whispering Hopes. Possibly not off on handicap debut over 1 mile 6 the last day, and I can see this horse taking a massive step forward and getting involved. What are we up to? Up a furlong as well. What do you see anything here to round off what's hopefully been quite a good night already?
Yeah, with a bit of luck, or else we'll never be covering a barely puntable card ever again. Even though I'll be having many a punt on this card. Look, there's one horse in here that basically the whole race revolves around, because the handicapper this could be embarrassing if this horse is above its grade. The top weight Party Dress, who she's rated 74, which might be even a little bit harsh on what she's achieved, but they're stepping her up from 9 furlongs to 2 miles, and obviously they had a spin over hurdles as well in 2023. Look, she's obviously had the speed to win over 9, and they're stepping her up to 2 miles. She's rated 74. She's so unexposed. If she's able to carry the 10 stone 4, there's like that would obviously be the main question. If she's able to carry the 10 stone 4 and she stays, you can forget about this, because she'll probably outclass them. Out of anything else, Dec, I really struggled in this race. Whispering Hopes did come down on my list, but I'm always just worried, is there another day? And then there's obviously horses like that are closely etched with each other: believe in science, firm belief, and there was one more in that race. There was one more. I think it might have actually been influential lady. So quite a few that are coming from that Limerick race. I found it very hard to split them, Dec. I would take the top weight party dress, but I wouldn't be trying to hope that I'm depending on her to get out for the day to try and get to the Hippodromo della Zarzuela with the winnings and party dress. Hopefully that's already booked. Yeah, hopefully that's already booked.
Well, look, right, that finishes off the card. It's party dress, Andy. Would you be keen on her?
Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm on my way home by that stage with my winning.
You're out waiting on Chase and Abby to get going.
Yeah, at the front.
Sound check.
That's the plan.
Well, look, hopefully we've made enough money to take us on that little world tour, Turkey, Bahrain, Japan, and finish it off at the home of Spanish racing. LHQO.
LHQO.
Look, we've Wexford coming up over the next 2 days as well, Andy. I have 2 trump cards. Your favourite track? Yeah. Look, I haven't got a chance to look yet, but I certainly will have a look. And if there's anything I'm really keen on, I'll put it up.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to be on with you. Hopefully, we'll find you a guest. We have somebody in mind, but we won't mention.
We'll make it work
because we haven't asked him or her yet. So we'll keep you guessing. But are you looking forward to next week anyway? I know we touched on Galway at the start, but
of course I am. It's a massive week in the Irish racing calendar, but I should forewarn listeners. I probably shouldn't even say this. Galway and Goodwood is the devil's combination.
I don't know who put them on the same week.
It's disgusting. It's just like it's a disrespectful week. Yeah, it's and anyone that says they're consistently in profit at Galway and Goodwood's a liar. Never trust them. Like,
unless they're guessing and they're looking at it. Anyone who knows anything about racing is not definitely not profit.
It would be some laugh to try and do a lucky 31 or something, and the races are the QR handicap, the Galway hurdle, the Galway plate, the Goodwood mile, and the Stewards Cup.
Or
something like that. Or the Golden Mile, sorry, isn't it? Or that's not even taking in the Ardnora or the and the BMW Mile or whatever the hell's at Galway. Like
something Colin Quinn is sponsoring anyway.
Sorry?
Something Colin Quinn is sponsoring.
Something Colin Quinn is sorted out. Yeah, exactly. And look, all you're talking about is usually the draw or the ground or Ado McGuinness or Mark Johnston or whoever or it's Charlie Johnston nowadays.
Sarah Wells not getting a mention anymore.
I know.
Yeah,
it's beneath him now.
No, yeah, that's it. Still winning classics all the same.
That's it.
Anyway, I think we leave it there because you'll be back next week. Obviously it is, one of the highlights of the Irish racing calendar. It's 7 days racing on terrestrial TV. It's on RTE, where ordinary people can own a winner, and on the biggest day of the year, it really is something special. It's quite unique. I don't think you get it anywhere else, and it is what separates Irish racing from the rest of the racing world. In my opinion, is the fact that ordinary people can have the day on the big day. I don't know if many have been to Galway. Like the track is tiny, but the stand is huge. Like it's mad. It is. It definitely should be on everyone's bucket list to get there. It's a unique experience, and it's just what Irish racing is about. And it's why we love it. But I don't think we've probably been on here long enough, Andy. We've gone way off topic. We've discussed race courses in
every inch of the world.
Yeah, we even got to squeeze Italy in at the end. So I think we'll wrap it up and we'll leave it there. I'll see it in a couple of weeks, Andy. You'll be back to cover Galway with everyone.
Absolutely.
So thanks again to everyone for following us, the comments, tuning in. The support's amazing. We really love it. It's such an enjoyable experience to just chat away to each other. But when we find out people are listening, it's deadly. So thanks very much, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Andy.
Enjoy your holiday, bud.
Right,
I'll call for it. Bye bye.
Cheers. Good luck. Bye bye.